taking Jesse Pelletier away from his normal active duty this morning. Joining me to talk a little bit of hockey. The Hanover Taché Junior Hockey League finally got underway last month, Jesse. Been pretty busy so far this month of October. Fill me in a little bit what's going on.
Yeah, it's been a roaring start to the season, especially for our club. We're off to a really hot start, 5 wins in 5 games, best start in franchise history for us. So we're thrilled to be back playing hockey and in the old barns in southeast Manitoba. Standings are tight to start the year, and a few surprises around the league, which is good to see.
Well, I have to say that there's first and foremost, the Red River squad is not sitting atop, as you guys at the Comets are, 5-0, like you said. Both goaltenders getting a little bit of work. Has that been the case, trying to make sure you have a number 1, but your number 2 still getting some action?
Absolutely. You don't want to have a kid sit for, a month before he plays. And with our schedule, it's obviously not as heavy as some of the other junior leagues. So you do have to be very wary of that. Noah Morin is our starter. He has got the majority of the load to start 4-0. He's been phenomenal. Kept us in a few periods where it could have easily gone 2, 3, 4 goals the other way. And then Owen Mcmillan, our backup, who we picked up this year, strong goalie, a little smaller set, but he's super agile, super. Sees the puck well and moves well out there, and he'll be getting the start actually this Wednesday in Grunthal. So
right on. Grunthal's got a couple of scoring leaders, as you can look at the top of the scoring board. 2 wins on the year for Grunthal, but they got a couple of kids that can pass the puck and find the twine real quick.
Yeah, their whole program has completely turned around from last year. They struggled heavily. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They did struggle last year to find wins, and the players that they picked up, Jackson Friesen, Elia Dirksen, leading the way in league scoring right now. Very young, skilled, fast team. Gave us a fit our first game against them 2 weeks ago. Again, if it wasn't for our goalie, it would have been definitely a different story in that game. And they'll be a team to look out for this year, and especially next year once these guys have another year of experience under their belt, for sure.
That has been the big difference for the Grunthal squad. I mean, last year they only had 1 win, right?
Yeah, they did struggle mightily last year. I think it was a couple more than that in the end, but
right.
Again, numbers was a big issue, right? It's tough to win hockey games when you're 12, 14 guys, dressed for the game. So they're dressing a full bench this year, and again, a lot of those players are 18, 19, 20 years old, and have a full junior career ahead of them in this league, and it's great to see because you want to see kids get the opportunity and then be allowed to play somewhere too.
I know it's early in the season. I got a couple questions with regards to that, Jesse. Number 1, Red River being the champion from the previous year, an amazing record last year. Do they have a target on their back to kind of step up and be that aim to claim kind of thing for the 2019-2020 season?
Absolutely. I mean, you always got that target on your back when you win, especially them. They're back-to-back champions, so they've had their moment to shine, and now obviously other teams are looking to fill that void. They did lose some players, especially goaltending. I know they lost their starting netminder from last year, who was phenomenal for them. So still trying to put it together there, but I have no doubts in my mind they will, by come season's end, be battling for top spot in the league as they have the last few years.
Right, so the target's there. Now, I have to ask you as well, we talked about this earlier, how many import players are allowed on a team, and when does the roster have to be finalized for that?
Good question. So you're allowed 3 imports, basically from anywhere. Most teams are drawing from Winnipeg. Obviously, a big pool of players there that are eligible. So you're allowed 3 per team on your roster, unless you get exceptions to go above and beyond that number, and that's kind of dealt with case-by-case basis at league meetings. But the minimum or maximum to start rather is 3, and by December 1st is the first roster cut down. You need to be within 23 cards at that point. And then by January 10th, that's your final cut down. Again, you can max out at 23 on your roster. Then, sorry, the December 1st deadline is 25. You can have 25 cards to play with. and then by January 10th, your final cut down, and that could include three imports, and you can actually mix and match. So if you do end up finding, quote unquote, a better import available to you later in the season, you can release one of the ones you've had on your roster and fill that void with another import.
Okay, so 6 teams all have had pretty good action so far, about 4 or 5 games in the month of October. What have you noticed as the current trends of the last month, having been in the barns and played most of these other teams, Jesse?
The biggest adjustment has been watching the guys play with cages, because as we talked about last time, mandatory cages were implemented for next season, and then this year, Hockey Manitoba gave the option to save $1,000 on your insurance if you elected to do it a year early, which we as a league decided to do. So especially the first few games, I mean, guys were running around maybe a little braver than they would have been had they been wearing a visor. And I give all the credit in the world to the officials in our league for maintaining composure and a little bit of civility in these games, because it's tough with guys essentially not having any repercussions for their actions on the ice, knowing that everyone's got a cage on. It seems now it's kind of come back a bit. Players are teetering that line, so to speak, with what they think they can get away with, and what may come back their way from some other players in the game.
So you're noticing the players acting more warrior, more reckless abandon in the first couple games, as opposed to keeping the sticks below the shoulders and the hits a little more clean, perhaps?
Yeah, it's a tough balance, right? It's junior hockey. There's a lot of emotion, and guys, want to go out there and make a statement for themselves, so to speak. But if you ever watch midget hockey, which can get a little wild and crazy too, it's a fine line when guys can essentially run havoc and not be accountable for their actions. Not that I'm a proponent of fighting, and obviously across the board, NHL included, that number has gotten down big time, and good for it. But there is a time and a place for it still. I still believe that, and obviously now with cages involved, it's just not going to happen, or it's going to have to be a cage rage, so to speak. And so we haven't seen that yet, I don't think, in the league,
No.
not to my knowledge anyway. And again, big credit goes out to the officials, Corey Hebert, referee in chief for our league, doing a phenomenal job with his guys to find that balance between keeping the discipline and not having a penalty called every shift.
Exactly. That's allowing the flow of the game is crucial to emotional control. I think when you have all those stops and goes in a game, it becomes more frustrating, not just for the players but for the coaches, because you want to see the game play, you want to see the flow, you want to see some momentum carried by both squads. I mean, you don't have that with all the whistles. Now, the hockey cage for the helmet, was that a movement to inhibit the amount of fighting, or is that something that was shown in previous references and rules and regulations saying that, hey, you know what, if we put the cages back on, what is that going to deter in junior hockey? And do you know why they went to that motion?
It's a good question. From my knowledge, they drew data from facial injuries. That was where the primary motivation came from Hockey Canada. This is coming down from Hockey Canada ultimately, and they ruled that insurance is getting more expensive, just like everything else in this world. And so it's a safety measure first and foremost, and B, a cost saving measure for hockey leagues across the country to obviously you can get a better insurance rate knowing that your face is fully protected. But again, it came back down to sticks, pucks, dental injuries that have piled up in the last few years. And I mean, as an old school type of guy, it's tough to see, and a lot of people like myself weren't fans of it to begin with, but ultimately the mums of the world and the aunts and the grandmas are very happy to see this happen. And I mean, there's leagues across the world. I mean, NCAA, prime example. These are grown men playing, NHL, almost NHL caliber hockey. Some of the top end players in that league come right out of NCAA, move right into the NHL, and they're playing with cages their entire career there. So it doesn't affect the quality of the hockey. If anything, it makes it geared towards a more skillful speed, agility game versus the more brute stuff you used to see in hockey. So ultimately, it's going to be a good thing for the game long term.
I agree. I mean, safety is one thing. I know, Lord knows, moms and aunts love seeing their kids smiling with all their teeth and
All their
less
real
fighting.
teeth.
Well, exactly, exactly. Have you seen less fighting? Has it been something where it's been more of deterrent since? Because I mean, if you probably get more penalties and more instigators if you take the helmet off, automatic game suspensions. Should you take the lid off before the Donnies? So I mean, that's got to be a bit of a plus to allow the game to flow a little bit as well.
Absolutely, you're getting an instant match penalty, or gross misconduct rather, if you take off your helmet. So that's an instant two or 3 game suspension. And guys don't want to. I mean, that's a 10% of our season, arguably,
Yeah.
right? So you really don't want to take yourself out of that many games in our league. So it really is a deterrent to fighting. And so basically, what you're seeing is glorified rugby scrums, and guys are clawing and grabbing at each other, and referees are handing out 2 and 10s basically. So 2 for rough and 10-minute misconduct. So you sit in the sin bin and do your penance, and then come back out and be a good boy.
Yeah, you feel shame and then you get free, right?
That's right. That's right.
Thank you, Danny Lemieux. Now let's look at this week's action. You guys are playing tomorrow night against the Red Wings, 8:00 start. You're going to be away on that game. Hopefully the roads are okay to get you out there.
Yeah, they so far so good. Got a bit of a winter blast of winter, I guess, this week, but that's Manitoba, and that's the nature of being in this province and playing out here. So yeah, we're in. Like you said, in Grunthal Wednesday, and then a ton of games this weekend. So
yeah, it's busy. Is this a busy weekend for you guys to kind of get things ramped up for this season?
Yeah, this is where we still haven't seen the Brokery or Red River. Just the nature of the schedule, how that worked. This will be our 3rd time seeing Grunthal already, and we've seen Steinbach twice already. So just again, it's one of those things with trying to make these schedules work with limited ice slots in all these arenas. But by come Saturday, we'll have 7 games under our belts. We do finally see Red River this Saturday at home in Ile-des-Chênes, 8:00 start there. And the rest of the league is busy as well. 2 games on Friday and another 2 besides ours on Saturday.
Yeah, you've got the Huskies and the Habs. It's a 7:00 start on that Saturday, not an 8:00 start. They're usually 8:00 games. And then the Sunday, we won't call it the matinee, but it's a 7:00 as well on Sunday, where the Extreme are taking on the Red Wings. So the 2 different start times for those games. Like you said, it's all about rink availability and ice availability. So now you'll see most of the teams, as well as everyone else. 7-8 games will be played after this weekend. So should be a very interesting weekend. Go check out your Hanover Taché hockey rinks and go support the boys. And less Donnies, more goals. And,
get out there. Honestly, it's for $5 for kids, $7 or $6 for adults. It's a great way to spend an evening. It's honestly really good quality hockey. I think people would be honestly shocked at the level of hockey that our league has. It's kind of an unknown league in that respect. We talked about this last time, and we do appreciate the coverage you guys have been giving us to expose maybe some people to this league who haven't heard about it or haven't seen a game. So if you have time, go check out a game this weekend or when you can get out this season and check it out for yourself, because it really is really good, strong quality hockey.
And I will say your club, your program, your league is so heavily involved social media wise, and it proves dividends on the amount of views and what's being spread out. So Jesse, congratulations on the beginning, the 5-0 start for the Comets. I think that's fantastic. And he said to get tomorrow night in Grunthal and the weekend in Ile-des-Chênes. Is that your home rink?
Yeah, we played 90% of our games out of Ile-des-Chênes, a couple out of Lorette this year.
Okay.
Way better fan experience in Ile-des-Chênes. They've got the heated flooring and about 4 levels of stands. So that beats the old barn of Lorette where you have 1 row and it's -40. So
yeah, it's those barns, it's a lot of emotion, a lot of culture and community involvement back in the day. So go and check out the barns. Jesse, again, thank you very much.
Anything you
want to finish off with before we let you go?
No, that's it for me. Again, appreciate the coverage and look forward to chatting with you next time.
Fabulous, Jesse. We'll do this in a couple of weeks. Stay tuned to more Hanover Taché coverage in a couple of weeks' time with Jesse Pelletier and the Lorette Comets and the rest of the 5 other teams here down in Junior C Hockey Winnipeg. Thanks for joining us, and we'll say good day and enjoy the wonderful winter weather outside.
Thanks to you. You too. Take care, my friend.